Okay, here we go. We're going to finish up our binding now. I've got this under my presser foot. I have a 1/4 inch open toe presser foot on this Bernina that I have. You can use whatever machine you like, and I use a stiletto. I just like to hold this down as I go, and I like to have my edge right along the inside edge, the inside outer edge of that open toe foot. I find that just gives me a nice finish as I go along. And I've got this clipped. If you're doing a big quilt, I like to go and use a little Elmer's glue, just the kind that you get the school glue out of the bottle, and glue my edge down because it just gives you a nice clean finish when you're going along. You don't have to fiddle with a bunch of clips and stuff. So, but this does a good job here, I think. So we're just gonna. This is a baby quilt, so it's going to be a fast and furious one. It's not going to be a big deal. Okay. This just helps me guide that edge. And this is just one way to do it. There's lots of ways to bind your quilt, so don't get locked on if this doesn't work for you, or you use a different method. That's okay. It's all right to do that. My cat has taken her rightful place on my ironing board. She's happy. It's funny, when Buddy was a kitten, he used to do that too, and he loved sitting on the ironing board. I think it gets warm, and that's where they want to be, in the warm spot, but it's okay. All right, now we're down to the corner here, and I'm going to open this out. I usually have it clipped into the miter already, just to kind of give that fabric some memory. But I am going to stitch down to where my stitching line is for my binding. So we're just going to go down here like this, and we're going to stop right there, and we're going to back stitch just a little bit. And then I'm going to cut my thread and show you that, okay? And then we're going to take this. I use the stiletto to kind of hold that fabric in the corner and get my miter where I want it. And then I'm going to tuck it back under the needle and hold it in place and just start down the other side, and then we have a perfect miter. Let me get this cord out of the way here. There we go. And if you have a needle down feature on your machine, that's very helpful when you're doing binding, because you're going to stop with your needle down. You don't have to worry about moving fabric and having it come out from where you want it to be. So, and the nice thing about doing this binding this way, I'll show you on the back side here, is you folded your fabric to the front and you're stitching right along the edge there, and your back stitch, your bobbin stitch is going to be on your back side, and if you just match your backing fabric, it's just going to look like a straight little line of stitching there. It's not even gonna matter a bit. Okay, so it's just a nice easy way I had a friend, well, Wendy, said to me one day, and it made nothing but sense to me, you know, we don't live in the 1800s and we don't sew our quilts by hand. We sew them by machine. Your entire quilt is sewn by machine now. It's usually machine stitched, pieced, machine quilted. And so why not machine stitch your binding on? It's more secure than hand stitching for longevity. And why should it matter if you do a nice, neat job? That should be good enough. And I mean, there's a lot to be said for a beautiful hand-stitched binding, and I have done many, many, many of those. But as you get older, your hands get arthritic, and it can be very painful to sit and hand-stitch a quilt for hours. If you're doing tiny little mincing stitches like you would like to have on the back of your quilt. So it just depends on you, and like I said, there's all kinds of ways to get to the same end result. All roads lead to Rome, right? So you just do what works for you and don't get hung up on the quilt police. They are doing their own thing, you know. So we've stitched off that edge now, and we're going to go tuck this in and get ourselves a nice miter. You want your bits to line up right there, and once you do that a few times, you'll have it down. My little guy doesn't want to get in there right now. There we go. Okay. I'm going to back stitch that just a little. This machine is lovely. It has presets on it, and I'm going to have to put together a preset for my binding. I have one for my quilting now, a couple that I like with the stitch length, but I have turned off my knotting feature that knotted the quilting or the stitching at the beginning, which is really more for dressmaking than it is for quilting. I don't care to have a knot in the beginning of my quilting when I'm doing piecework, but it would be nice for the binding. So I think I may program in a feature so that I can just do that when I'm binding and have my stitch length and my knotting aspect where I want it. So it's a nice feature of this machine, and I'm really grateful to my husband for getting it for me. I really wasn't anticipating another machine in my lifetime. I have quite a few. If you've been following me, you know I have lots of sewing machines, and I drag them out from time to time and use them and enjoy them. So it wasn't like I didn't have a machine to sew on, but my Bernina was getting long in the tooth, and it was after 35, 40 years, it was time to give it a rest. So this one is brand new and lovely, and it has, like I said, all kinds of bells and whistles on it that I haven't even used yet, but I will. It's got a whole plethora of quilting stitches on here, so if you wanted to do some fancy like Victorian patchwork, you could do that. If you wanted to have a fancy binding stitch, you could do that. And I'll experiment with those as time goes along. Right now I'm just doing a baby quilt, and so the big thing is just get her done, right? And I've got a couple quilts to load onto the long arm this afternoon, so I'm hoping I can get one done and then maybe get the other loaded. We'll see. Okay, again, fold out and just stitch down 1/4 inch from the edge and stop. We'll back stitch a little and cut our thread. I'm just going to turn this around here. Trying not to knock the camera over and get all fiddly with this. There we go. Yeah, see, that knotting function would be really nice in the corners right there, so I will put that back on definitely for this particular feature that I would like to use for binding. I bought this Bernina at Gary's sewing center here in Idaho Falls, and they are just lovely people. And Jessica works there. She's in our guild. She's very sweet and I love her. And Susan, I haven't had too many encounters with her, but she was the one that spent some time with me the other day and showed me some of the bells and whistles on my machine, and I just was so grateful for her time and her expertise. She really knows her way around the machine, and she does some beautiful work as well. So that was a lot of fun to go in and sit with them. And Jenny and Lucas, they're very sweet people as well. So Jenny's always kind and always has such an upbeat attitude, and I appreciate her. So it's funny, I went in to get a different machine than this one, but this one had the new bobbin, which holds 70% more thread, so you can actually make your way through an entire quilt without having to change your bobbin out, and that is a nice feature as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to wind 20 million bobbins. Okay, and we're down to our last little bit here. I'm going to get this just to the corner there. I'm going to back stitch, cut my thread, and then I've got just this one little miter to do here, and we got it right there. Okay, bring this around, we'll drop that down, and back stitch a little bit to secure that, and off we go. We'll just meet up with our other. Okay, we're done. We have finished binding our baby quilt. We've got our mitered corners. You can see how nice and neat it looks on the back. It's just a beautiful way to finish your quilt. If you've never done machine binding, give it a try. It's not gonna hurt you to give it a try, and I think you'll be really happy with the results, and nice and neat, right close to the edge. You may have a foot in your arsenal that will let you do let me grab one here and I can show you. You can use one like this that has an edge. You can go right up to that edge and control your stitching that way, but I like the open toe method. That works best for me. And like I said, there's lots of ways to get to the same end result, so you do what works for you. I hope that was fun for you today, and I will talk to you later. I'm going to get busy on some long arming.